Properties of parallelograms. Opposite sides are congruent. Opposite angles are congruent. Consecutive angles are supplementary. If one angle is right, then all angles are right. The diagonals of a parallelogram bisect each other. Each diagonal of a parallelogram separates it into two congruent triangles. Properties of a rhombus. All properties of a parallelogram apply. All sides are congruent by definition. The diagonals bisect the angles. The diagonals are perpendicular bisectors of each other. Properties of a kite. Two pairs of sides are of equal length. One pair diagonally opposite angles is equal. Only one diagonal is bisected by the other. The diagonals cross at 90 degrees.
Properties of a trapezoid. The bases are parallel by definition. Each lower base angle is supplementary to the upper base angle on the same side. Properties of a rectangle. All the properties of a parallelogram apply. Angles are right angles by definition, and the diagonals are congruent.
Properties of a square. The diagonals of a square bisect each other and meet at 90 degrees. The diagonals of a square bisects its angles. Opposite angles of a square are both parallel and equal in length. All four angles of a square are equal. All four sides of a square are equal. The diagonals of a square are all equal.
Next, we're going to try a problem together. So it's a quadrilateral, and we have to find, first we're going to find y, and then we're going to find x. So to find y, we know that those two angles A and B add up to 180 because consecutive angles are supplementary. So y equals 10 because 8y plus 10y equals 180. Now let's find x. To find x, we have to apply the same rule from before, that consecutive angles are supplementary. So 100 plus 4x minus 20 equals 180. And the equation for that one angle is 4x minus 20, so that's why I used that. And then to further solve the equation, 80 plus 4x equals 180. And then if you subtract 80 from 180, it's 4x equals 100, meaning x is 25. To recap, y equals 10 and x equals 25.
Because the shape is a parallelogram, we already know the two lines are equal to each other. So you can set them equal to each other in an algebraic expression and solve by subtracting the 5 and then dividing by 2 to get 3. Now we're going to find y by setting the two other equations equal to each other and adding a 3 in for x. So you're going to start by subtracting by 4, and then at the end y equals 6.
The last practice problem is of a rectangle with two diagonals in the middle. In this problem, we have to solve for a, b, and x. Because this shape is a rectangle, a equals 14 because opposite sides are congruent. B equals 8 because diagonals of a rectangle are congruent too. Since all angles on the outside of a rectangle equal 90 degrees, we have to set 25 plus x equal to 90 to find x. To get x by itself, we have to subtract 25, so 90 minus 25 equals x, and 65 equals x. To recap, a equals 14, b equals 8, and x equals 65 degrees.
One pair of diagonally opposite angles are equal. X equals 90 degrees. And then we have to find A and Y. 32 degrees equals Y because the angles are congruent. So now we just have to find A. A equals 3.2 because all the sides are equal, so you find the information on the kite.
Okay, so now we're going to classify parallelograms and quadrilaterals on the coordinate plane. So first we're going to start out by making a graph, and on this graph we're going to plot 4 points, starting with A, which is -4, 3, B, which is 0, 6, and C, -1, -1, and D, which is 3, 2. And then we're going to connect these points to make a shape. Now, as you can see, using the rise over run method of finding slope, we found that the slope of AB is 3/4, AC is 4/3, BD is also 4/3, and CD is 3/4. Because the slope of opposite sides are equal and the distance between all points, which is found by either the Pythagorean theorem or the distance formula, is equal, so one can conclude that this shape is a square.